friends, welcome back. My name is Sandra. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about some small brush pens. So as you know, I am a huge collector of brush pens. As my recent stationery / desk tour shows, I have pretty much as many as I could find, minus two that were more used for watercolor, I guess. However, most of the brush pens I have are all large brush pens, and I was searching and scouring the internet for brush pens of a smaller type. You know, the large ones can be used for coloring, they can be used for headers, but if you are using brush pens in your bullet journal, or if you're doing lettering in cards, for example, sometimes these smaller brush pens are a lot more handy. And when I say small brush pens, I'm not talking about the Tombow Fudenosuke or the Pentel Touch Fude brush pens. These ones are even smaller. So I've got, these ones are actually called, they're by Pilot, and they're called the Enso brush pens, watercolor brush pens. This is just my opinion, but I don't really understand why you would want watercolor brush pens with small ones, because generally my personal preference is I would never blend with small brush pens. I would only use them for headers or for lettering on cards or whatnot, but I wouldn't be using them to blend. So the whole purpose of having them as a water base is that you can take some, of the color off with a water brush pen and then basically use it as a water paint, or blending them. But why would you blend these? Because they're so tiny anyway. So that's just my opinion. There are people out there who probably do use them to blend, but I wanted to compare them with two other types that I think are the most similar to these. So that would be the Minami Plus Pen 3000. Even though it's technically a fine liner, the tip is bendable, so you can actually get different widths of upstrokes and downstrokes. And also the Kuretake Fudogokachi. I recently did a review on these as well, and they're very similar to these. So we're going to talk about them. I'm going to show you the colors from this pack first, and I'll show you what came in the pack. So you get 7 extra fine brush pens, assorted colors, and 1 bold black brush pen. So I don't really like the black one because, to be completely honest, it's so bendable that you can't hardly even letter with it. But I will write the title anyway, and then you can see what I mean. So it's kind of interesting. It's got some liquid ink in the barrel, and it looks like a medium tip. Doesn't say anything I can read on the front. I think it's in Japanese, but we're going to call them the Pilot Enso brush pens. So I'm just going to zoom you guys in here so you can kind of see the lettering. I did take my time, and the one thing I like is that the brush pens, like this is probably kind of reading a book by its cover, so to speak, but I like the outside body of the brush pen. I like that they're light colored instead of like a darker colored pen, and I like that they have the ink color here. It shows the liquid ink on the inside, and I can't read any of the writing on the body of the pen except for pilot. It's completely in Japanese, but it does have the color on the cap here. And you know what? It stays on very well. Overall, like if you open up the cap, it's still got that blunt end, which is, that doesn't really affect your writing ability. But the tip is so tiny. It does bend quite a bit. It reminds me of how the Marvy Le Pen Flex first kind of started out. I didn't like them a lot because the tip was so bendy. It does get really beautiful upstrokes and downstrokes, but because it bent right away when I first used them and it didn't bounce back right away, I was like, oh, these are garbage because, I've already broken them in and now I'm not going to get beautiful line work. But this actually bounced back pretty quick. And the thing with any brush pen is that you kind of have to rotate the pen as you're writing. So I'm just going to zoom back out to rotate the pen as you're writing with it. Otherwise, it doesn't get that nice, beautiful writing. So now what I want to do is take the black and just compare it to these other two pens here. So that's these two. I'm going to write Pilot with this one. I did notice the brown was a little dried out, which I don't know why. The other ones were fine. And I also kind of wish it came with a purple. So now I'm going to do the Kiritaki Fudenosuke. This one, I like this one because I feel like the plastic end pushes it out more. I don't know if that's just me. It's actually a firmer tip. These ones I really like. And then last, the Minami. I don't know what it is about the Minami, but you get so many colors. I know this is a review on the Pilot, but this is how many colors I got for, I think it was $20. You get 36 colors. So my first thought and opinion on these was I hated them until I started using them as brush pens. And I just wasn't used to the really small brush pen. These are really nice and really good value for your money. But we're talking about the Pilot, and so now I'm looking at these, like the tip on these actually looks a bit smaller. Let's see if we can compare all of them here. So the tip almost looks smaller than the other two. Well, I guess the Minami ones are quite small. So Minami, the Fudenosuke, and then the Pilot. But the Pilot actually has the largest writing. So I wonder if we were to compare that to the Marvy Le Pen Flex. So this is the Marvy Le Pen Flex. So I feel like it's a little bit thicker than the Pilot maybe, but it's actually more similar to the Pilot than those two were, which is interesting. So it really does determine the thickness of the brush nib, even if it's the same size as other pens. But yeah, I like these. I think if you were to do, they'd be perfect for lettering and cards for Christmas or whatnot. That's actually a really good idea. So that's something that I might do. But they are water-based, so they will smear. So they do smear, so you have to be careful, especially if you're left-handed, not to smear them. But you can see here the tip is quite bent, but then you simply turn it the other way and start writing with it. And once you get used to like the really teeny tiny brush pens, I don't know what it is. There's something so elegant about writing with them. It makes you feel more elegant. But anyway, this video is just for those of you who are searching for different brush pens, specifically the smaller sizes. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, please subscribe. Click on that bell button to be notified of upcoming videos and future content from moi. And also, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. I love getting comments or questions from you guys about brush pens. I don't mind answering any questions or concerns that you have. And until next time, we will see you then. Bye now.